Okay. Up next, we are going to look at equal parts of shapes, which is equal parts of circles and equal parts of rectangles. Let's get started. Which circle shows 3/3 of the shape shaded? So now we are beginning to talk about fractions. And if you haven't yet, and I'll try really hard to remember to put a link up there when I put this on YouTube. If you haven't seen my video on Math Teacher Reacts to The Weird Number, which is a like 1970s cartoon about fractions and rational numbers, I strongly recommend it. It is actually very, very good. But the whole point of this here, the whole point of equal parts of circles, is to recognize that when I say cut the circle in halves, it means that there are 2 per circle and that they're equal. When I say it's cut in halves or half, it means that it's 2 per circle and that the 2 halves are equal. Same deal with thirds and fourths and fifths and sixths and sevenths. What that means is all of the pieces are equal, but there are instead 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And the Weird Number cartoon that I mentioned before specifically uses cakes to demonstrate how to make fractions that are both quote-unquote proper and quote-unquote improper fractions. Anyway, which of these is in thirds? That would be C. And it specifically shows 3/3 because it's cut into 3 equal pieces and all 3 of them are shaded. How is this circle divided? Well, it's cut into 4 pieces, but I would not say it's cut into fourths. To be cut into fourths, they would have to be equal size pieces, and these center pieces are pretty clearly larger than the outside pieces. So that's none of the above. Which circles are divided into halves? Well, A looks like it's cut in half. We have 2 equal pieces. B looks like it's cut in half. Just because it's a diagonal line doesn't change the fact that it's still cut into 2 equal pieces. C looks like it's cut into thirds. And D looks like it's just cut weirdly. Which circles are divided into fourths? Again, A looks like it might be, but it's not because the pieces aren't equal. But B is cut into 4 equal pieces. C is cut into 4 equal pieces. And that's it. So again, we are discussing unit fractions like 1/2 or 1/3 or 1/4. We're talking about the concept of halves and thirds and fourths as sections of a whole. And it's very important to hold on to that because it will make fractions a whole lot less scary on down the line. When we start actually adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing fractions in 4th and 5th grade, a lot of people hit that wall and they decide that math is not for them because fractions are too hard. But they're not. A fourth just means cut it in 4 pieces, 4 equal pieces, and take 1 of them. 3/4 would be cut it into 4 equal pieces and take 3 of them. 19/4 would be take a bunch of cakes and cut them each into 4 pieces and take 19 of those pieces. That's all there is to fractions. So we want to teach fluency with fractions early on so that students don't end up hitting a really bad block later, like so many of us did. Which shape shows 1/3 of the circle shaded? B looks like 1/3. It is cut into 3 equal pieces, and 1 of them is shaded. A looks like 1/2, and C looks like 1/4. Which circles are divided into thirds? Well, A is cut in half. B looks like thirds. C looks like thirds. And D is, once again, it looks like they were trying to cut it in fourths, but they didn't quite finish it. This circle is split into 4 equal-sized pieces. What part of the circle is shaded? Well, it's the whole thing, right? It's the whole circle. But since it is cut into fourths, that is 4/4. And that is a huge deal. The fact that, quote, 4/4 is the same thing as one whole. You should absolutely point this out. You should absolutely talk about this. Ask how many fourths does it take to make one whole? How many fifths does it take to make one whole? How many tenths do you think it would take to make one whole? And it's going to turn out that it's always anytime you've got the same number on the quote top and the quote bottom, which again, we haven't actually looked at fractions yet. We're not actually writing these down as such in second grade. But what we're learning is the very, very important idea that anything divided by itself is 1. It's a very important mathematical concept that's going to be very, very useful. So that looks like 4/4. And that is equal parts of circles. Let's move on. Next up, we've got equal parts of rectangles. This rectangle is divided into 3 equal parts, therefore it is thirds. This square looks like it's cut in fourths. Remember, you can cut things in different ways. And in fact, this square is also cut in fourths. And so is D. All of these 4 pieces are equal. All of these 4 pieces are equal. All of these 4 pieces are equal. So it's really neat to see that there are, as far as I can see, at least 3 different ways that you can take a square and cut it into fourths. And I would challenge your student to see, is there another way? Are there more ways to cut it into fourths? You're at a 66. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope you can hear me okay. Which square shows 1/3 of the shape shaded? Well, A is wrong because those pieces are not equal. B is close. It is one of an equal piece, but unfortunately there are 4 equal pieces, so that is 1/4. C is also very close. C is cut into thirds, but 2 of them are shaded, and we want only 1/3 shaded, so that would be D. Perfect, thank you very much. Which squares are divided into thirds? Well, A is cut into pieces that are way, way disproportional. B is wrong because it's 4 pieces. So it looks to me like to cut it into thirds, C and D are both correct. And really, of course they're both correct, because if you look at C and you just kind of look at it sideways, it's the same thing, right? C and D are the same shape. It's just you rotate it a little bit. Which rectangles are divided into halves? And again, I love that they are showcasing so many different ways that you can cut a rectangle in half. I can think of so many arts and crafts projects that could be done in a second grade classroom to sort of reinforce this idea. But let's continue. Halves, halves, halves. And you did follow. Oh man, I appreciate you so much. And I don't just do math, I play video games too. That looks like 1/2. No, it's not 1/2. Ooh, I almost got that wrong. See, now I'm so excited that there's someone in chat talking to me that I totally almost messed that up. This is not 1/2. This is 2 halves. Almost screwed that up. Would not be the first time. Would not be the last time. This rectangle is divided in some random fashion. It's definitely not thirds. We are almost done